Now, I want to put that in context with bonds. The world viewing treasury bonds or a government's debt as an asset has a very short history, if you will. In a historical context, it's just but a speck of time that someone would consider a government's debt as an asset. And if you look at gold as a store of wealth, see, the whole thing with the bond market is, what do you do with all your extra dollars? You can't put them places, or where there's not enough insurance in the banks, and the risk in the stock market, the inflation. Where do you put it? So that's the bond market. But you're seeing the world sell bonds. China, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Russia, they're all selling bonds. Who's buying them all? Oh yeah, that's us, people. The hedge funds, the people chasing yield, leaving the banks, trying to get some of this 5% yield, right? As the world is shedding bonds, the American public is buying bonds. A lot easier to default when you realize that the majority of the debt, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, government, military pensions, that's all the 130 trillion that's not on the balance sheet. Trillion seconds ago being 31,688 years ago. But if a bond is paying just a couple of percent per year, in fact, if you go back over the last since the beginning of the century, gold has way outpaced the bond market. But for the last year that it's starting to take off, some of the junk bonds or whatever, but way outpaced it, way outpaced the S&P 500. So why not look at gold as a savings the way that you do a bond? And I think the world is starting to look at it. Look at the appreciation we've seen. Go back to 2002 and plot it. And you'll see that it preserves its purchasing power. You may not notice it because of the volatility and the counterintuitive price action engineered by the commercial and central banks. But I'll tell you what, there's a good percentage of the world that is selling bonds and buying gold. And that is why you see last year, for the first time in 45 years, that the 10-year treasury was more volatile than the price of gold, because they're selling bonds and buying gold. And I think that is the way that a large portion of the world is looking at where we should put our excess reserves, and instead of reinvesting it into the bond markets when they come due, they normally would roll it over and reinvest it. They're selling it and buying other assets, commodities. And that's why I'm very fond of Zoltan Pozar's work, who used to work at the New York Fed, understands the plumbing of the system better than anyone. But he said we have entered a new system called Bretton Woods 3, which will be dominated and distinguished by commodities and transparency. Bretton Woods 1 is when the dollar took over for the pound sterling at the end of World War II. Bretton Woods 2 is loosely when we closed the gold window, went back on our promise, and then started the petrodollar, where every country in the world, the synthetic demand for dollars was created by everyone having to buy oil in dollars via our protection of the Saudi kingdom and OPEC. And now Bretton Woods 3, what he says, is a system that will be predicated on commodities and transparency. And he's right. No one wants opaque debt instruments anymore. They want something that is not simultaneously someone else's liability. And that's exactly what metals in your own possession are. And even from a bond market comparison context, not as immediately liquid and whatnot, but I still think it's being viewed as a alternative, if you will, to the last 50 years worth of thinking.
You talked about the appreciation of gold. What about silver? And can you tell us why silver is in high demand, and what is your projection as we move forward about silver?
I think that silver is the most undervalued asset on the planet. Okay. I think that silver is highly controlled by the military industrial complex. They're the ones that have us embroiled in I don't know how many wars over the last 30, 40 years. But the need for silver in high-tech weaponry is indispensable and undeniable. There's 500 ounces in the tip of every Tomahawk cruise missile. How many missiles are being fired around the globe right now? Yeah. We're involved directly or indirectly in 7 wars right now. And you know, who's providing all the munitions? Oh, yeah, that'd be the military industrial complex. Well, they need silver. Well, how do you get silver? You hold the price down. Why are there a handful of Western commercial banks that have the largest concentrated short position of any commodity traded on the commodity exchange in silver? Why? Makes no sense, right?
Right.
And, you know, India imported almost 400 million ounces of silver over the last 2 years. That's way more, way more than is on COMEX. And so, yes, I think ultimately you're seeing big money. China imported 80, 90 million ounces last year that they tell us. How much more are they buying and accumulating and producing that we don't know about? Silver is, I believe, the trade of a generation. I will say this, though, that when the music stops and you're running for that chair, like when you were a little kid, you want to be in gold because it's the only other tier one asset. But
and when you say tier one asset, what are you saying in layman's
terms?
terms?
It's a riskless asset as defined by the central banks. It's equal to cash, and there's no disputing the fact that they find it to be very significant. Why make it gold? Why after 75 years is it gold and not something like special drawing rights issued by the International Monetary Fund or another currency? No, they said it was gold. And that's why I think there is no coincidence that the banks and the central banks are buying gold at levels that no one's ever seen before. So, but I think you buy silver right now at an 87-to-1 ratio and potentially trade it to gold when the ratio gets back into focus. It's averaged roughly 40-to-1 for the last 100 years, meaning 40 ounces of silver equal to 1 ounce of gold. For 5,000 years, both geologically and price, it was 16-to-1. And now geologically, it's coming out of the ground at 7-to-1. And it's priced at 87-to-1. It's 11 times, almost 12 times undervalued as it relates to its geological relationship. It's askew because it's been suppressed, because I think they need it to finance the military-industrial complex in order for them to continue to make high-tech weaponry, aerospace, submarines. All of it needs lots of silver. And what they didn't count on is the rest of the world becoming wealthy and industrialized enough to compete for what little resources are left. It is a game that will explode in value. And even if you just go back, excuse me one moment.
Absolutely.
And take the average price of the last 200 years of 40-to-1, roughly 42-to-1. If we look at gold right now, let's see. Let's call gold $2,030 and divide it by 42. $48. Is that right? Let me make sure. Hang on. Yep, 48. So it should at very least be 48. But what if you take that same $2,020 and divide it by 7? 289? That's what it's. If you woke up tomorrow morning and said gold or silver should be $289, I would say you're not crazy at all. That's the current geological ratio.
Wow.
Where we're mining 1 ounce of gold for every 7 ounces of silver. It's disappearing geologically. So price potential is extraordinary. The need for it in industrial applications, military applications, and monetary applications is growing by the day. But it's found in nature. Like your skin is epidermis, it's found in nature in a form called epithermal, very near the surface. Big deposits were found decades ago. Only about 25% of all the silver mined last year came from silver companies. The rest of it was either through recycling or through other companies mining other materials that stumble across some silver deposits. But it's becoming harder and harder and harder to find. The ratio gold to silver for 5,000 years was 16-to-1. Now it was 8-to-1. Now it's 7-to-1. At what point do we just exhaust the ability to find new deposits of silver?
Yeah.
So yeah, there are very few things in my mind that offer the potential that silver does right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. You've given us enough, so much information for us to digest. And I encourage our family members, everybody that's watching, to please share this video, because it's important for everybody to know what's going on behind the scenes, Andy has given us many projections, how to prepare. So like the video, share the video, rehearse the video, like play it over, and you can play it over on a higher speed if you like. This information is something that is going to help you and your family as you prepare in the future. So we are at the hour mark, Andy, and I want to say thank you so much. I am very honored that you take the time out of your very busy schedule.
Don't be silly, Kia. You're one of my favorite. You are such a sweet person. If everyone I dealt with was as kind and sweet and I don't even know the words I'm looking for, but I think you get what I'm saying. Life would be a whole hell of a lot better. You have never been anything but professional and kind and complimentary. And I don't know. I think that that's a lot of what this world is lacking. And it's my honor to be here. I always will come back.
Yes, sir.
And I wish you and everyone else out there very happy, healthy, prosperous 2024. And you're right. If people want information, they can always go to our website. But the best way to get the most competitive price lists that we offer that we don't publish to the public unless asked for would be to go to info@milesfranklin.com and say, Kia sent me. Ask any questions, whether it be about anything you heard here today, precious metals IRAs, or just anything, questions on storage or how it all works, or just to get the price list that is far more competitive than what you see on our website. We will do that for you with no obligation. And just make sure you told us in the subject line that Dr. Kia Pruitt sent me, and we will make sure that we roll out the Rockstar red carpet treatment. And it's been an honor to work with you for the last year or two, Kia, and we'll continue to do it. I think we'll ride shotgun together here through 2024. I have a feeling there'll be a lot to talk about, and important discussions abound.
Yes. And also, family, when you call the brokers, they will share with you our weekly specials. So every week or every other week, we have weekly specials for you.
That's correct.
To consider.
That is correct.
So having said that, family, thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year. Have a very safe and wonderful Tuesday, and go out and make it great. Stay proactive and prepare for what is to come. Thank you, Andy. We love you and appreciate you.
Love you too, Kia. You stay well, my friend. I look forward to picking up where we left off soon. And thank you, everyone out there. Stay well.
Stay well, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.